All right. Here we go. Mike Lee Keneric, O Raven podcast number 14. What is the difference between battle ready kickboxing, striking militia, and tactical Jeet Kune Do? Okay, that question was asked to me by about 12 people inside my organization. So I know right now people will start asking outside of the Agana system. This podcast has always been designed for my students, instructors, and black belts nationwide and worldwide. And there's a lot of interest in this podcast when I do podcasts about my knives. But essentially, it's always been about communicating with my people nationwide and worldwide that are Agana enthusiasts or Israeli combative methodologies enthusiasts. So that's why it always spikes up when I speak about my knives. But today, we are talking specifically about battle-ready kickboxing, striking militia, and tactical Jeet Kune Do. So for me to answer what the difference between the three of them is, I got to go chronologically, historically, which programs or which curriculums I've developed throughout the years. Okay, I'm the guy that is very good at creating curriculums. And in 2009, the DoD asked me to create specifically a striking program for the troops overseas, knocking down doors, hand-to-hand combat. Okay, in the military, depending on the branch, depending on the units, there was never a unified program for striking for the military. And then came out Army Combatives, which is more grappling. So at that time, I was asked to do specifically a striking, battle-ready or deployable striking program. I came up with battle-ready kickboxing. I worked very hard on it for about, I want to say, a year to develop that curriculum. We were all ready to go out of the gate. There was going to be specific gloves for it, for training, specific gloves for deployment. In other words, gloves that were cut off fingers and had specifically designs for soldiers to wear while they are deployed on patrol, on missions, and there was gloves for training. Okay, it was ready to go out of the gate, and then the government got shut down that year, and there was no budgets, and they completely shut down the program. So basically, that program was sitting on my lap that was specifically designed for military. I'll explain. Okay, part of the program was there was no high kicks at all in that program because a soldier wearing gear, let's say 50-pound gear, and is, in the case of American troops, is M4, and he goes to kick high, he's basically falling on his back, and he's going to have a hard time getting up because he's got all that gear. Yes, he will get up, but he won't get up that fast. And in a hand-to-hand combat situation, being on the ground in a mob against insurgents and terrorists is not a good tactic. So basically everything was hands, elbows, maybe a few knees. There was one low kick, which was a round kick, a tie round kick in it. And I designed an entire training, more important training than deployable, because if you don't train, you can't deploy it. Let's get that straight. Training curriculum, battle-ready kickboxing. Okay. When that got shut down, I was very disappointed because it was a program that I really enjoyed designing, and it was going to be a big hit in the military. It sat on my lap, and a lot of my Agana people said, "Sir, can we get that program since it's not been deployed in the army?" And I said, "Fine, I'll deploy it in my organization." So battle-ready kickboxing became the striking, street fighting, and I hate the word street fighting because as soon as you say street fighting, you get all the thugs as students. That's why when I teach Jeet Kune Do, I never call it street fighting. I don't call it scientific street fighting. I just stay away from the word street fighting, okay? So I started teaching in my organization, and my people absolutely fell in love with. Fast forward to 2012. 2012, my mentor in martial arts, Joe Louis, passed away from cancer. And up to then, all my Agana black belts were referred to Joe Louis for black belts in striking. Okay, I have Donut Boy, he's a black belt in Joe Louis' system. at that time. Larry, Justin Sorzano, so Godzilla, rest in peace. With Joe Louis, rest in peace. So I used to say, okay, you want to be a black belt in Nagana, you got to parallel that black belt with Joe Louis fighting systems. Joe Louis fighting systems, after the passing of my mentor Joe Louis, was not the same anymore. And I said to my people, you don't have to go anymore. So then in my organization in Nagana, people said, well, sir, all right, we used to do battle-ready kickboxing. Black belts were going to train with Joe Louis at his conference on an annual level and take the seminars that when Joe Louis used to come to my school. Joe Louis used to come to my school a minimum of twice a year. In the earlier year, at least 3 times a year. So my students had access to Joe Louis on a regular annual base at least twice or 3 times a year. So all of a sudden that was gone. So they said, okay, so what we do now for striking, what am I teaching my students striking? Battle-ready kickboxing is for military, doesn't have the kicks and this and that. And I designed a program called Shin to Bone Muay Thai, specifically for my organization, just so they would have a Muay Thai program. What happened is schools, especially like big schools that run my program, like Hudson Valley Haganah, run by my black belt at Duplessis, the Northeast headquarters of my system, they were saying, okay, so now the people, my students that used to go to battle-ready kickboxing, I'm migrating to the Shin to Bone classes, and my battle-ready kickboxing are getting very thin in attendance, while the Shin to Bone Muay Thai is getting bigger. I said, that's not a problem. Combine them together. And he goes, what? I go, combine battle-ready kickboxing. Battle-ready kickboxing is essentially 70% American kickboxing, as taught to me by Joe Louis. Anytime I say kickboxing, I only had one kickboxing teacher my entire life, and that was Joe Louis. I believe in sticking to one teacher. I believe you go to seminars to cross training, but I don't believe you get ranked in one style or system under a few people just to collect fucking black belts, because curriculums contradict each other, and then there's muscle memories confusions. I don't go for that. I go for you get one teacher. Yes, you explore outside because you got to know what's outside, but you don't. I hate people who I have black belts in 15 different styles, and out of the 15 different styles, 9 styles are striking, and 4 styles are fucking grappling, and 1 style is fucking from the moon, something. I don't know where the fuck it came from. Here's your F word for this podcast. So it was about 70%, 80% kickboxing, 15% Muay Thai for clinch, and finally 10% Krav Maga, but military Krav Maga, which is basically stress and aggression drills. It is not gun disarms, not 9 defense. A lot of people think, oh, Krav Maga, IDF, they do all these gun disarms. No, we don't. We do a lot of stress aggression drills for mob training, for in case they try to kidnap you and shit like that. Okay, so but that's not this what this podcast is all about. So that's what I created, battle-ready kickboxing. Then came Shin to Bone Muay Thai. Shin to Bone Muay Thai was a Muay Thai program. So I combined them together, and it became Striking Militia. So essentially, Striking Militia is, watch this, Jeet Kune Do, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. Why I say Jeet Kune Do? I sought out Joe Louis not for kickboxing. I sought out Joe Louis not for Joe Louis karate system or not for Joe Louis fighting system. I sought him out for Jeet Kune Do. My first time I trained with Joe Louis was at RUJKD, Radford University Jeet Kune Do camp, run by Jerry Beasley back in 1994. So I sought him out for Jeet Kune Do, not for kickboxing, and definitely not for karate. I'm not a karate guy. So that's why I say Jeet Kune Do, Muay Thai, and kickboxing, because the element of Jeet Kune Do is inside Striking Militia. Fast forward to Tactical Jeet Kune Do. Okay, Tactical Jeet Kune Do is my representation of Jeet Kune Do from Bruce Lee to Joe Louis to Mike Lee Kineric. taught by Bruce Lee in private classes in 1967 at his house in Los Angeles in the backyard, okay, to Joe Louis. Joe Louis taught to Mike Lee Kenerick and me now teaching tactical Jeet Kune Do. Okay. Then people ask me, well, what exactly is tactical Jeet Kune Do? Tactical Jeet Kune Do is my tribute to my mentor and teacher, Joe Louis. He passed away, of what he taught me to teach to students nationwide, with the emphasis on 5 angles of attack, which is his interpretation of 5 ways of attack of Bruce Lee, specifically for sparring, and sparring specifically for building true confidence for people to be able to defend themselves. Tactical Jeet Kune Do is 80% what Joe Louis taught me through the years, 18 years of training, private classes, seminars, camps. I used to teach at his conference. I used to teach at karate college with him. So you're talking 18 years of true training, okay? And I believe there's a lot of people out there, oh, I'm going to go to a few seminars. I'm going to start teaching what they taught me in seminars. No, that when you go to a seminar, you're getting source for your classes. If you're a professional martial artist teaching martial arts, you're getting source for your class, for your own curriculum in your classes to put on your curriculum. You can't go to a seminar and take that as your curriculum in your class, because you got a glimpse of a subject in a seminar. You didn't get deep material. So it's 80% Joe Louis kickboxing, with me giving that tribute, taught from Bruce Lee to Joe Louis, from Joe Louis to Mike Lee Kenerick, all throughout private classes, true training. What I believe true training is, when you, in martial arts, you got private classes, group classes, and events. Events is for taking pictures, I was there, blah, 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 and to put sauce on what you already know, to better what you already know. It cannot be a foundation. It's for the foundation to get better. Then you have group classes. Group classes is where you train with different bodies. When I say bodies, big guys, small guys, women, men, and then you get a sense of how it feels to train with different types of body types. And finally, private classes, you get it straight from the source, the meat without the fat, from the teacher itself. So where do you learn the best? Obviously, private classes. But if you only do private classes, okay, watch this. If you only do private classes, you are never tested against other bodies. And if you never fight, if either for real fighting, which is to the death, in a self-defense altercation against a criminal that wants to fucking fuck you up, not play games, or in a full contact arena, be it MMA, Muay Thai, or kickboxing. Those are the full contact arenas, including wrestling by itself and including boxing by itself. Those are all combat sports, right? So when you do only private classes and you never test what you do either in a group class, environment, or in a competitive environment, you can test what you learn in private classes in a group class. You don't have to specifically go compete, but if you never spar against different bodies, you don't know if you're going to be able to deploy it. I don't care what the fuck you say. So it's basically, back to what I was saying, 80% kickboxing, as taught to me by Joe Louis, as taught to him by Bruce Lee, which the base of the curriculum is the 5 angles of attack of Joe Louis that they designed specifically for full contact sparring, and 20% Jun Fan Gong Fu, which is basically the Wing Chun base or roots of Jeet Kune Do that was taught to me by Lamar Davis, and I always give credit where it is. And yet again, watch here, Jeet Kune Do, Jun Fan Gong Fu, or Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do, I only had one teacher. Yes, I went to seminars with Ted Wong. Yes, I did seminars with, there was a couple more Wing Chun people that I went. But when people ask me, who was you Jun Fan Gong Fu or Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do teacher? Lamar Davis. Even though Ted Wong was on a much higher level in the food chain of whatever, that's who taught me, that's who I give the credit to. So, what is the difference between battle-ready kickboxing, striking militia, tactical Jeet Kune Do? Battle-ready kickboxing is a limited program that was designed specifically for the military. Do you want to train for it? for street fighting, and again, I don't like the word street fighting. If you're not a soldier, it doesn't apply to you because you don't walk around with 50 pounds on your back and you don't have weaponry on you and blah, blah, blah. So put that aside. Should you train striking militia or should you train tactical Jeet Kune Do? That's the question I'm getting by my instructors, black belts, and students nationwide. This is my answer to it. If you're not Nagana practitioner, striking militia is still your horse to go to the race with. Why? It has the Jeet Kune Do, it has the kickboxing, and it has the Muay Thai. And Muay Thai boxing blends very well with fight, my self-defense curriculum Nagana, because of the center point of reference, which is essentially a Muay Thai clinch for the street. As far as tactical Jeet Kune Do, if you want how you call that? A program that is based on speed, accuracy, and power, what I call the SAP factor, okay? Speed, accuracy, and power to finish a street fight. And again, I don't like the word street fight. To finish a street fight fast, tactical Jeet Kune Do is the answer because it's all street oriented. And again, I don't like the word street fighting, but tactical Jeet Kune Do is for personal defense, self-defense in the street, finish the fight real fast. Striking militia has other elements in it for training curriculum. It fits well with Nagana people, but on a street fighting system, tactical Jeet Kune Do. Or even Podcast 14. I hope I answered the question. Have a great fucking day.